There are so many different ways that you can learn English. Should you learn vocabulary? Should you read a book? Practice your listening. Maybe you are learning, but you're just not seeing the improvement that you want. Today, let's talk about 3 things that you can do every day to improve your English. Are you ready to learn those 3 things? If so, then let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is learn a new phrase, word, or idiom. And this is probably nothing new for you, but it's the next thing you do that's going to be very important. You can learn a new word from a blog, video, conversation, or an English book. Something that you really should do if possible is try learning that word, idiom, or phrase from a natural sounding English source. The way that real people speak is very different from the way that you're going to learn something from a textbook. Many things that I learned when I first got here were in a textbook because I didn't know any Japanese before. But once you get outside and start talking to real people, you quickly notice that everything in that textbook is not necessarily going to be the way that you're going to speak in real life. Of course, it's a good way to learn the basics of English, but you're going to want to learn as much natural English as possible, and that's why I want you to try to find a natural sounding English language source. The more natural English that you can learn with, the more you'll be able to use more natural sounding phrases and expressions that real English speakers use. It's important to know the basics, but by going that one step further to really understand natural native sounding English, you're going to improve your English all that much faster. And you'll find yourself being able to use more natural sounding English in your conversations as well. Once you have a new phrase, word, or idiom down, the next thing you want to do is share it with someone. The more people that you can share it with, the better. By sharing what you learn with someone else, it's going to be a better way for you to remember that word, phrase, or idiom later. And usually we share things with people that we really find interesting, so you're going to want to share what you know in English. And the most important thing here is to not be a perfect teacher, but you just want to be a teacher to someone else. If you're able to explain something to someone else, it really shows that you understand it. Tell someone what you learned in your own words, and this will help you learn as well. And by sharing it as many times as you can, you'll make that word or phrase a part of you. Just like your native language, you want English to become second nature for you. And if you can share something you learned with someone else, it will stick with you easier. So next time you learn something, how about you get out there and share it with someone? Maybe it'll be a friend or a family member, a fellow student, or maybe you'll just share it online with someone that you think it will help. However you do it, just teach it to someone so that you can really learn it for yourself. After learning a new phrase and then sharing it with someone, the next thing you want to do is write it down somewhere so that you can recall that word, phrase, or idiom later when you really need it. You can put it in a notebook, put it in your phone, put it in a note-taking app. The important thing here is don't just write it down. Make sure you note where you learned it, why you learned it, and how to use it. You want to be able to trigger your memory later when you look at that new word or phrase, or when it comes to you trying to use it again in a conversation. I have been keeping things in Google Keep so that when I go back to the page number of a book I was reading, I can go back and figure out what that phrase is and why I wanted to get that phrase down in the first place. But pen and paper and a good old-fashioned notebook is okay too. Make sure that you don't just write the word down and then the definition to the side of it. When you do go back later, you might know the definition, but what you want to do here is make sure that you can have that word or phrase or idiom connect to a situation, and that's going to be easier for you to use it later when you need it. I have students that have large notebooks with words, phrases, definitions, but when it comes to hearing that word again or going back and using that phrase, they might vaguely recall that they had this word before or they heard this phrase before. They don't know why it's down here, they don't know where it is in the notebook, and they don't know how to use it. So it's basically like they're learning it all over again once they hear that same word or phrase. We want to create those connections with words and places, situations, so that we can always quickly recall why we use this phrase, what we wanted to do with this phrase or word, and then it's going to be better for your conversations in the future. Have you ever had this happen to you? You learn a word, write it down, and you don't think about it for a while until it pops up again later, and you end up learning that word over, writing it down, and not thinking about that you learned that word a long time ago before. To avoid this, let's try to get those connections to the situation with the phrase, that word, or that idiom, so that you can really keep it a part of you and recall it easily when you need it in a conversation. I hope these 3 things will help you improve your English every day. If you think these have any benefit for you, please share it with someone that you think will like. We said before, learn it and then teach it to someone else. Also, leave a like down below so that I can make more content like this in the future. If you're interested in learning more English, how about check out this video that's going to be popping up right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Look forward to seeing you next time. See you.